Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is brought to you by Peach State Payments. Ethical processing, more profit, less stress. Chiro HD, more than an EHR. Practice management simplified. The Chiro Speaking Company. Attract, educate, and convert. Chiro Spring, cloud-based, user-friendly software with all the essential features chiropractors need. OmniWave, redefining comfort and acoustic wave technology. Chiro Health USA. Chiro Script AI. Chiro Moguls. Pure Chiro Notes. 5-Star Forge, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, and the IFCO. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 722 of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we have the opportunity of interviewing Dr. J. David Currie. And if you want to hear his story and the impact of Gonstead on global chiropractic, stay tuned for the full episode.
Get the warm up. I like it.
Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. Today I have J. David Currie on with me. Really excited. This guy's been a part of the profession as a chiropractor. How many years now?
43 years. Going on 44.
43. And you're a professor out at Life West.
Yes.
And working on a book called The Sport of Gonstead Adjusting Cervical Chair in 90 Days.
Yes.
And you've traveled around the world teaching Gonstead. And I think it's really cool to have you on to the show today. We'll get into your story in a minute. But before we get into your story, I let everybody know our big why. Why do we do what we do over here at Chiro Hustle? Well, first things first is we protect freedom of speech. We'd never censor anybody. We know what it's like to be traffic throttled and shadow banned and censored. And we just stood our ground and kept on producing, whether the social media people and the outlets like this or not. We just keep on producing our show. We also believe in medical freedom and family health freedom. They're not the same things. If you need guidance on those topics for you and your family, find a chiropractor in your city or your neighborhood, and they'd be happy to help you with that clarity. Philosophically speaking, we protect B.J. Palmer's Sacred Trust. If you don't know who he is, or you don't know what that topic is of the Sacred Trust, that's his last written words. Go to the show notes at chirohustle.com, click on the link, and you're going to learn more about chiropractic than you ever did before, I guarantee you. And if you're a chiropractor, I would hope to think that you'd fall more in love with your profession. Also, the reason we do these things is because I know that a lot of the education, the kids are coming out of school, they aren't getting good fundamentals with philosophy. So please share the show with chiropractic students, new grads, or people that may have lost their way. And we do support subluxation-based chiropractic. We do believe in innate intelligence and universal intelligence. We believe that when man or woman, the physical gets adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual. I know it sounds woo-woo, but that's chiropractic. And then once you're connected, it creates the educated intelligence. And with that, this is episode 722 of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. Just want to welcome you onto the show, J. David Currie.
Thank you.
Yeah, I believe that the introduction is fundamental because there's a lot of people that will go out into the world and they don't have a stance on why they do the things that they do. And oftentimes they get lost in the minutia of somebody's messaging. Mm-hmm. But if they just cut it off right now, they didn't listen to your story, at least they would know about innate intelligence, subluxation. They would know about the Sacred Trust and some real fundamentals of freedom of speech that are really important to the world. At least in my world, those things are important. Moving forward, you got into chiropractic 43 years ago. How did that happen?
Well, I'll tell you, I got drafted in the United States Army in 1972. And after I got out of the Army 3 years later, I extended an extra year to stay out of the war. But after I got out of the Army, I started playing baseball in college, and I injured my shoulder. I was told by the team doctor that I had a torn rotator cuff in my shoulder and that I needed surgery. Well, long and short of it was my dad had been seeing a chiropractor in Castro Valley, California, and he suggested to me that I should go talk to this chiropractor because he was treating a lot of baseball players. And so long and the short of it all was, I went and I saw the chiropractor. He told me I had what he called a pinched nerve in my upper back and my neck. He made it real simple, dumbified it down for me, and told me that's what he thought I had. And I thought at the time, you're a kook, you're a quack. But my decision factor, quite frankly, was I could afford the chiropractor. So I went and saw the chiropractor. And a few weeks after the chiropractic treatment, I found myself out on the baseball field throwing baseballs again as a pitcher. And I had some pretty important, pretty recognizable baseball players in the outfield. You'll recognize the names of Ricky Henderson. He was in left field. Gary Pettis was in center field, who won about 5 Gold Gloves. And a young kid named Lloyd Mosby was at first base. So I was playing baseball at that level and told that I was supposed to have rotator cuff just a couple, 3 months earlier. And so from then I started looking into chiropractic as a profession, and the rest was history. Never looked back.
That's pretty cool, man. And you grew up did you grow up then in California?
Yeah, my dad was a career soldier, Army soldier, so we moved around a lot, but we ended up settling in California when I was in 8th grade. So I went through 8th grade in high school here in California, and then ended up going to college in Davenport. We chose Davenport because of the Palmer name and the Palmer reputation, and definitely wanted to get the best education I could get. There weren't chiropractic colleges at the time here in the Bay Area, so we chose Davenport. But right after we graduated, my wife and I decided, we're going back to California. So I've been back in California ever since then. I interned for a year and a half, actually, in Monterey with Dr. Richard Thornton, who became my greatest mentor. Practiced with him for about a year and a half, and then opened up my own office in Fremont, California in November of 1982. And I'm still in Fremont.
Yeah, my next question to you is going to be about Davenport, Iowa. What was your time like there at Palmer?
It was incredible. We actually considered at one point staying in the Midwest, and maybe not necessarily Davenport, but staying in the Midwest because it was so different than the hustle and bustle and the craziness of California. But it was interesting. I worked on an ambulance while the 3 years I was there. I was trained as a combat medic in the Army. And I had never run across personally run across hardcore drugs, heroin and things like that until I was working on an ambulance in Davenport, Iowa. So I found out that the reality of drugs, that they're everywhere. And that just further, it just instilled in me the desire to be a natural chiropractic doctor, a natural doctor of chiropractic, and to stay away from drugs and surgery. We loved Davenport. We loved this small town. I got to visit DeWitt and Bettendorf and Rock Island on the other side of the river. It was really incredible.
And how did you determine that you're going to get so involved with the Gonstead technique?
Okay, so I make this story real quick and short because it's a pretty heavy story. But I started Palmer October 3rd, 1978, a very famous day in the history of chiropractic. It had nothing to do with my first day. It happened to be that was the day after Dr. Gonstead died. He died October 2nd. And so all around Palmer, they were talking about, Gonstead died. And my buddy and I, who we came from California to Davenport together, decided that, who is this Gonstead guy? We had to find out who it was. And so there was a seminar at the Gonstead Clinic in November of 1978, the very first seminar after he died. And we joined a busload, 2 busloads actually, of students from Palmer going up to the Gonstead Clinic. And I got to see what I'm going to call real chiropractic. In school, it's kind of like foo-foo, nice to know, but you don't really get to see it in action. But we saw chiropractic in action and never looked back from there. I said, if there's anything better in chiropractic for me, I would take a look at it. But every time I looked at something different, I said, I'm not going to get confused by anything else. I stayed with Gonstead, so I've been Gonstead from the very beginning. I love chiropractic, being a teacher. I think all chiropractic techniques work. I respect anybody and everybody that's doing chiropractic, but I found my passion in Gonstead.
Yeah, I meet a lot of people out in the world, as I was telling you how many people I've scheduled in for chiropractic services
Mhm.
and the footprint of knowledge. Some people are afraid of getting uh, a very heavy adjustment, which I believe a Gonstead adjustment is. Some people are really hesitant about having people, put their hands around their neck and doing like a chair adjustment.
Yes.
How do you get people through that?
Okay, well, I'm glad you asked, and I'll tell you that I truly feel my single greatest contribution, looking back at my career from this point, looking back, is that I have discovered a secret to adjusting, and I've discovered that there's a way to make your adjustments feel like a warm knife and butter. And Gunn said, we're definitely going to move the vertebra. We're definitely going to set the vertebra. If you've been adjusted by Gonstead docs, you know that we set the vertebra. There's an audible, there's a clunk, there's a distinct, no doubt about it, movement. But I outlined this what I call the secret to adjusting in my book, and the secret can be applied to any manually adjusting method. I don't care how you go about, what technique you want to call it, whether it's Gonstead or Schmonstead. The secret lies the same. And if I can can I take a second and tell you a little bit about it?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I want you to talk as much about the Gonstead technique as you feel that people can learn about why chiropractors do what they do.
Okay, great. Well, I chose Gunstead again. It became a passion for me. I kept looking at everything else I would see, and for me, this is my personal story. I don't pass judgment on other colleagues that have a different opinion. I just say this is what worked for me. I kept looking for something that would match my personality and my character better than Gunstead, and I never did find it. So what I would say about making the secret to adjusting, making your adjustments feel like a warm knife and butter, and that's a really great way to describe it, is changing your paradigm, changing the way you think. We tend to think that adjusting is take a person to a point that we call tension and binding their spine up in multiple different directions, and then suddenly, delivering a thrust. And sometimes that thrust can be gentle. Sometimes some doctors have a real soft, gentle hand, and some doctors, they just really wham you on. But I've found that if you change the way you look at how you adjust into these three terms, and I'll give you the terms: relaxation, balance, and timing. When you can change the way you adjust, instead of binding a patient's spine up into multiple directions into a tension point, and then just apply a force in just about any direction, something's going to give. And by the way, that's usually the vertebra above or below the ones that have been bound up and are at tension, interestingly enough. But if you can learn to adjust where your hands are relaxed, where the patient is relaxed, you've guided and positioned the vertebra into just the right spot to where they're in a balanced state so that the thrust can be delivered in just that one direction, but you leave a little slack into the spine, and then the moment that you have tested that, then you go for it. That's called timing. So instead of using distraction techniques like take a breath in or a breath out or drop your shoulder or kick your foot out, what's your dog's name, whatever the distraction techniques are that so many of us use, instead of thinking like that, change the way you think and have a relaxed hand, get your patient in a relaxed position. Know that you've isolated just one joint, just that one joint by the way you've positioned the body, and then deliver the thrust precisely. It's like a warm knife and butter. And I'll tell you, quite honestly, when you learn to adjust like that, you never go back. You just can't go back to the hard, let me take you to tension. Okay, now come on, give it to me. Okay, drop the shoulder, boom, that kind of adjusting. So again, those types of adjusting will work, but I'll tell you, once you get adjusted by someone, I want to tell you this real significant story. I've been trained by some of the best Gonstead doctors in the history of chiropractic, Gonstead chiropractic. Dr. Alex Cox, Dr. Doug Cox, Dr. Herb Wood, Dr. Larry Troxel. I was trained by all of those docs, Dr. Tom Sherman, and then I met Dr. Richard Thornton. When I met Dr. Thornton and he adjusted me, I knew right away, oh, you're different. You're very different. And what made him different was his hands felt like pillows. His hands felt like when he had you, it was like a mother holding a child, holding their child. He had loving, caring, and in his touch in his hands, nothing was forced. He didn't get you to anticipate his thrust. He just took you in a nice, gentle way to the position. He retracted his hand a little small amount and came into it with a little momentum and then delivered a little accelerated thrust. That type of adjustment totally revolutionized how, and so that was why I chose him, and I sought after him when I was in my last few quarters at Palmer. I said, I want to come back to California. He was in Monterey, California. I want to come back to California, and I want to work with you. And so when I was working with Richard, we call him Dick. When I was working with Dick, every day I would say, Dick, I need to get adjusted. And he would adjust me. And then the next day I'd say, Dick, I need to get adjusted. And he would adjust me. And then after a while, he'd say, you don't need to get adjusted anymore. And I said, yes, I do. And he'd say, no, you don't. Yes, I do. And the reason why I wanted to get adjusted on a regular basis like that was because every time I got adjusted, I got to sense his feel. And his feel was very different than everybody else. Everybody else was good. The doctors I just mentioned were incredible. Bill Dressler, all of them. These are the Gonstead greats, okay? They were all incredible. But Thornton's touch was very, very different. And I'm just anal enough, and I use the right word, anal. I'm a meticulous learner, and I sat, and every time he'd adjust, I'd say, oh, why did you do this? He would take my chin when he would adjust cervical chair with his middle finger, and he would pull it forward. Just pull it forward. Yeah, just like you're doing. He would just pull my chin forward, and that's the direction his adjustment was going to go. So he would make sure he knew how far my spine could go forward, and then he would just relax his hand just a small amount and come into that, and a little gentle set, and it was like, boom, one clunk, just like other doctors are giving me one clunk, but their hands were heavier than his. And when I got adjusted by him, I said, this is what I want to learn how to adjust, just like Dick. And then Tom Sherman was Richard's probably his best friend in chiropractic. And Tom Sherman also had an equal touch like Dick did. And I'll tell you, when you get adjusted by those two, it was remarkable.
You made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Peach State Payments. Ethical processing, more profit, less stress. Chiro HD, more than an EHR. Practice management simplified. The Chiro Speaking Company. Attract, educate, and convert. Chiro Spring, cloud-based, user-friendly software with all the essential features chiropractors need. OmniWave, redefining comfort and acoustic wave technology. Chiro Health USA. Chiro Script AI. Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, 5-Star Forge, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, and the IFCO. Let's hustle. I think it's really cool to see you're still fired up at 43 years in practice and 43 years as a chiropractor, and you love to tell these stories. Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about you, the educator.
Yes.
What's it been like for you to be a professor?
Okay, I teach at Life Chiropractic College, and I have nothing but good things to say about Life West. I love teaching there. It's been a great extension of my career. Working with students in the college environment is very different than working with students and doctors in seminars. It's a very different world. Students sometimes in the college course, they're there because it's just another class they have to take, and they really don't care what you're teaching. They've already decided they're going to do this or this or that, and it may or may not be what I'm teaching. And you learn to just take that with a grain of salt. But what I would say to students, if I had one thing to say to students, is find something while you're in school that you find passionate, really gets you excited. Whatever it is, whether it's Gonstead, whether it's diversified, whether it's drop table, whether it's activator, whether it's energy work, find something that really lights your fire and get very good at it. Be the best you can be. If we can just focus on that, now keep an open mind and be in present time. I would tell every one of my students, be in present time. When you're in a toggle class, that's the only thing that you need to worry about is toggle. When you're in a Gonstead class, nothing else exists. When you're in a diversified, same story. But so master everything that comes your way. And when you've mastered those different skills, in the end, you're in a really strong position to say, I've mastered all of these skills, but this one or that one, and maybe a combination. It's okay to have a combination. I find that fine as well. But you have decided. I tell my students that when you graduate, as part of the faculty, I'll be in the faculty section I always try to sit in the front row. And I say, I'm looking for the students who get it. And when I say get it, I ask the students, I get them in their early quarters. And I say, when you graduate, I want you to come across with your hand pounding up and down. And I want you to show me your toolbox. I don't care what's in your toolbox. It's irrelevant. It doesn't have to be my tools. But you have your own toolbox. And when you walk across that stage with your toolbox, and you just shake your hand up and down like you're showing me your toolbox, you might not know I'm out there, but I'll be the one yelling and clapping and screaming the loudest for you because I'll be so proud of you.
Yeah. So doctor is educator. It's the definition of doctor is teacher. So you've been able to transition yourself from doctor to educator within the same realm. And then you've taken Gonstead global.
Yes.
And you've facilitated it, and I read your bio, many countries.
Yes.
What was that journey like for you?
Well, I got my first chance to do an international seminar in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And it was just a handful of docs that offered to pay me to come out to their clinic and work with them. And I worked with them, and I found out, you know what, there's a tremendous need for learning chiropractic, learning the Gonstead work, especially worldwide. And that kind of grew into, I had a chance to work with some of my students who graduated and moved on to Shanghai, China. And so now we got our foothold in China. And in speaking in China, teaching seminars in China, we had people, every single person, we had anywhere from 20 to 40 docs at the seminar, and very rarely were students, almost always were doctors. And every single one had to fly over an ocean to come to that seminar because they were coming from Malaysia, from Singapore, from Korea, from Japan, from Taiwan. These were chiropractors coming over there. And I found that, here's what I found is that the Gonstead work was so wildly looked for internationally that these people were clamoring and looking for somebody who was willing to come to closer to them so they could learn. I had docs coming from Australia and New Zealand that were coming all the way from there to China because they wanted to learn more Gonstead, and it was really fun, really exciting. And then I got to expand into Europe, and there's lots of us that go over to Europe now to teach. It's not just me. There's my colleagues, Dan Lyons, Dr. Wood, lots and lots of us that get to go around the world. But here's the thing that we've discovered. We've discovered that in our seminars internationally, we have to be very, very careful because the name Gonstead, not just chiropractic, but the name Gonstead is so wildly sought after by non-chiropractors. They want to invade our seminars, and we're very, very careful to make sure that we don't allow anyone who's not a chiropractor or a currently enrolled chiropractic students to attend our seminar. We get massage therapists, we got physical therapists, we got osteopaths from international countries that are trying to invade our seminars, and we want to see their credentials. We want to know who you are attending our seminars. People, there are others out there that are literally trying to steal our work, and we had a very serious situation occur in Italy. Are you aware of what I'm talking about?
No, but this is what I open up with: is protecting the sacred trust.
Yes.
And technique is a part of that, and it's protecting it and guarding it. And you should not be going in and learning how to do chiropractic work unless you're somebody that deserves to learn how to do chiropractic adjustments.
Correct.
So what happened
Absolutely.
in Italy? Because I think this is a longer conversation, because I think globally, as you were talking, there's a lot of things that have been under attack. And people have said, "Hey, you can't do X-rays here," or "Don't adjust kids." So there's other parts of the profession that we've gone and pushed back and, gotten, most of the time the profession can win and hold the ground. There are some instances where we have to bring in legal, representation to control some things, but tell me the Italy situation.
So it turns out in Italy, they are a profession of osteopaths. Osteopaths in Italy are not like a DO here in the U.S. They're not doctors. They're basically bone setters, okay? And they're not formally trained in many of their cases. It's very unregulated. So what happened is a number of osteopaths found a chiropractor. I'm not going to mention the name, but I know exactly who it was, a European chiropractor who they enlisted him to create a course to teach them Gonstead. He is very qualified. He did a great job, unfortunately, of training them. He showed them the chapters that we use, our textbook that we use, our references. And it turns out that after he got going with this program, the board of directors at GCSS, Gonstead Clinical Study Society, which I'm part of, we found out that he was doing this, and we begged and pleaded with him, please stop. You're killing our profession. You're training non-chiropractors. And he's basically told us, you can't stop me. And he was right. We can't stop him. But so he went on and trained these osteopaths. Well, it turns out these osteopaths happen to be entrepreneurs. And they have now created a textbook, I'm not kidding, about this thick, a textbook of Gonstead for osteopaths. And it's very terrible. So the doctor that did this, he's very much in regret that he did that, but it's too late. So now we really do buckle up when I say we, those of us at Gonstead's GCSS and GMI and Gonstead Seminar, we're all very careful when we do our seminars internationally that we protect our audience. And here's part of the dilemma is that not all countries are regulated like the U.S. As naive Americans, we think that everybody's like the U.S. We have laws and you can't break the laws, but there are some countries that have no laws. Japan is one, has no laws. Anyone can open up and put a shingle out and say they're a chiropractor, just watch some videos and sneak into a seminar. And this is what we're trying to, you said it right, the sacred trust. We really do want to keep our work within our profession. And we're very serious about that at GCSS and GMI. I can tell you that.
Keep it pure and unsullied.
Correct.
Now the book. I think we should touch on that before we close out today. Tell me about the book that you've been writing over the past handful of years.
The book is called The Sport of Gonstead Adjusting, cervical chair in 90 days. And the reason why I titled it that way is because I have always thought of learning to adjust as like learning a sport. I do have a black belt in martial arts, and one of the things that you learn in the martial arts is that you can't just come and take a class in martial arts, learn how to block and learn how to kick by just taking a class. You can't go to a seminar. You literally have to work on your skills, and repetition becomes your friend. You do it repeatedly over and over and over. And the best coaches in any given sport have learned to develop drills and exercises that they use to develop the skills of their athletes. So in my book, that's what I do is I outline the secret that I just described, relaxation, balance, and timing, and then some exercises on how to take the spine just exactly to the right position and know how to deliver the adjustment the way I described that earlier by just retracting your contact hand and slowly feeding into it and then give it a little gentle set in the right direction. But what I've also done is I've created and I've learned from athletes drills, creative little drills. I've got a drill to develop their speed. I've got a drill to develop their resistance. We've created our own speeder board specific for Gonstead cervical chair. It's a specific tool. It's my invention. Mine and my good friend James Choate. I'll give a shout out to him. He makes great equipment, by the way. Sorry, I don't know if I can do that or not. But
every time I go to the Bay Area, I go out to dinner with James and I go visit his shop.
He's a wonderful guy, great man. He and I are collaborating. So with the book, what I've done is I've created a step-by-step guide So where I'm going to say mastered. I got to where I was very proficient in cervical chair in 90 days. And it's like Barry Bonds can talk about hitting home runs because he if he does it, he can talk about it. And I did it. I mastered cervical chair in my third quarter at Palmer. And by the end of third quarter, I could adjust anybody down to T2, right hand or left hand that came my way. And so because I had a black belt in martial arts, I understood the concept of sharp, controlled movements. And I understood the concept of being centered with your body and relaxed and having balance. And that's what we do in the martial arts. I took those same concepts and applied them to cervical chair. So that's really the nuts and bolts of the book is a step-by-step guide. And in the first 30 days, this is what you should be working on. In the next 30 days, this is what you should be working on. So if you follow the program in 90 days, you'll be a totally different cervical chair adjuster. That much I can promise.
Well, I think that that's a very important skill for any chiropractor to understand is the Gonstead technique, the Gonstead method. Cervical chair is one of, I think, the greatest things for any chiropractor to learn how to master because they can adjust anywhere. They don't need a bench. They can adjust on anybody sitting there can, slouch down the way that they do it. And, and they can adjust the way that the technique is. And I found that some of the greatest adjusters out there have a lot of confidence in chair. And
yes.
I believe that teaching that to the future chiropractor is going to make the profession more valuable because those people that learn how to adjust Gonstead technique are, I'll just tell you, they're the greatest adjusters in the world. And flat out, like anybody that understands Gonstead technique, it's a fundamental technique that every chiropractor has to be confident in. Whether you're going to make that the base of your practice or not, you have to learn how to do the Gonstead technique from the cervical chair to the bench. Just learn it. And I do believe that there's so much in the fundamentals of becoming a chiropractor, but a lot of the schools are taking toggle out. So I think that we have to retain the ability to actually move the bone, and we have to have the ability to teach how to do this. And, there has to be somebody else that's going to follow your footsteps and say, look, now we have the protocols. Now we have the system. Now we can teach the future chiropractors, the future Jedis of adjusting vertebral subluxations, how to go out there and to take care of people and to get results. Because like you're saying earlier, people come into chiropractic because they want you to fix them. They want you to adjust them. They don't come to you because they want to see you in 2 weeks. They come to you because they want to see you and like they need to see you like now. Yes. And I think that that's a part of what Gonstead does is it's a correct analysis. The what is it called? The scanner that you use, the neurocalorimeter?
Neuroscope.
The nervoscope, but you pair that with the x-ray.
Yes.
And you do the proper exam.
Yes.
And then you have a specific plan that you can start adjusting people and you start getting results fast.
Yes. Can I dovetail on one quick comment on what you just said?
Sure.
What you just said is absolutely so profound. We call this the Gonstead difference, is our ability to evaluate and be precise on our analysis and exactly what we've discovered the patient's subluxation complex to be. We use 6 different tools from history, visualization, static, motion palpation, instrumentation, and finally the x-ray. We use all those 6 tools and we put those all together, and every one of those tools are absolutely critical and essential for a proper Gonstead workup. So I'm just so happy that I get a chance to talk to you today and we can share this story and this message out to our students. Is the single greatest skill you can develop above all else is not cervical chair adjusting. It's not pelvic bench. It's not toggle. It's your ability to evaluate the patient and get in tune with their subluxations. Find it, fix it, leave it alone. That's what it comes down to.
And as Gonstead would say, quit hitting all the high spots.
That's right. That's too easy.
Well, David, appreciate you being on with me today. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you wanted to share with our audience today?
No, I love chiropractic. I have a child named Daniel David. I have a son named BJ. I love chiropractic. I'm so thrilled and honored that you invited me to be a speaker on your podcast today. I hope that we get this message across to as many people as we can possibly reach. And I love you from the bottom of my heart for what you do for getting the word out about chiropractic. And thank you so much for that.
Well, I appreciate the friendship and the acknowledgement. And I'll leave you with this. Out of 3,300,000 podcasts globally, we're in the top 3% of shows.
Wow.
So people are definitely getting the big idea. They're understanding chiropractic philosophy. And if you took every state association and every chiropractic college and put them into one little bundle, our show has superseded all access to chiropractic that's ever been done. So I love the opportunity to be the guide, but I never made this thing about me. I made it about this beautiful profession and sharing the story and getting the big idea to more people and allowing them to understand some of the complexity, but also the love that's involved with what a chiropractor does. And over my lifetime of working in the profession for 16 years, I feel like I'm just getting started. So having your story today in the tapestry of the Chiro Hustle message, I do the same thing over and over and over, the same way over and over and over, because I know that the results are there. And I know people are falling more in love with this profession because of the work that we do. And they have a new access point. It's the one that's on their cellular device. It's the one that's on their computer. It's the one that they listen to on their commutes. It's the one that they listen to or watch on YouTube. It has all the access in modern times, and it has the wisdom of the ages. And I'm non-denominational. If you have a chiropractic message, you can jump on here and we'll talk about chiropractic. If you want to talk about chiropractic business, we'll talk about chiropractic business. If you want to talk about how chiropractic changed your life, we'll do that. And I think that that's the most beautiful thing about having a platform like this is I love chiropractic as much as anybody else, and I want everybody to have access to it. And if more people had access to it, we would get over 10% utility and usage. And I really believe that that's the big game out there is even if we went mainstream and chiropractic became the talk of the town and RFK Jr. went out there and said, everybody go see a chiropractor, there's not enough chiropractors, as they say, to serve the people and the demand, but we're not there yet. So we have to continuously turn the crank, as Gonstead would say, and we have to get more people influenced into this chiropractic idea that it's not just for car crashes and slip and falls. It's for vitality and it's for quality of life. And if you're not getting adjusted, you're subluxated. And nobody is performing better with subluxation. And if people really understood that, they would all want to be cleared of subluxation. So once we go mainstream and it becomes something that our United States government supports, we will become very much in demand. And everybody that's out there that has a license is going to have to get their asses out of retirement. And they're going to have to go out there and serve these communities because the demand is going to be epic. So I just, my praise is to chiropractic, but my praise is even greater to, I hope to God that this next administration comes out and goes public and says everybody in America needs to have their spine checked by a chiropractor. And that's what my dream for this profession is. And I've been waiting for this moment for a long time. And I'm sure many people have been waiting much longer than me. So if we can ever culminate our efforts together and get this message out to more people, that's my dream. I believe everybody at least should have the opportunity, whether you have $1 million or $1, to know what's going on with your neural health and to know that vitality comes from above down, inside out. It's not an outside in perspective, but we have to do a greater job of telling the story and getting out there and telling this message to more people. And that's why I do what I do, because it is my heart. It is my soul. And just like you, I love you. And I thank you for being my guest today.
Thank you. You are incredible. Much appreciated. And I'm so grateful that you gave me this chance. Thank you.
Yeah, and I just get to the end of this episode with you, and my closing is: we're all just one story away. Keep hustling, keep telling the story, keep believing, and be the best chiropractor you can be, and share the show with everybody you can. Love and appreciate you. Have a good night, and I hope to see you soon.
Thanks again.
All right, bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.